The Rebel Capitalist Show.
Going back to the Red Pill Expo, where we were fortunate enough to speak a few weeks ago, G. Edward Griffin was nice enough to invite us both out there. You know, I stayed an extra day just so I could hear you speak. And I spoke on Saturday, you spoke on Sunday morning, and we had dinner. That was awesome. But when I went out there and spoke, and it was on this great reset, everyone, I think, was fascinated, and I got a ton of questions. And at the end, they were very appreciative, and you kind of get the golf clap. But when I watched you speak, it was on a completely different level. And if you recall, you were having some issues with your audio, and you were going right into this story, or you're about midway into this story. And as soon as your audio went out, you could hear the audience just go, oh, and oh no. And they almost started crying. They're like, no, we got to hear the rest of the story. And I was sitting there with Kim, and right there, it dawned on me how powerful storytelling actually is, and how we as human beings really learn a lot better through storytelling. So that's what I wanted to do today. I wanted to get the brief story on how you were introduced to gold.
Gold started in Vietnam. I had just arrived there in January 1972, and I was a brand new pilot flying off a carrier. And I got this letter from my rich dad. He said, "Hey, Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard," and we didn't know what that meant. What does that mean? So he took it off on August 15th, 71.
Yeah.
So I was another pilot with there, and we were looking at the maps of Vietnam and said, "Hey, look, there's a gold mine here." And so we said, "Well, let's go look for gold." And we didn't know what gold looked like.
Right.
So we flew. I said, "There's only one problem. The North Vietnamese just overran that position." So, and as I always said, Marines aren't the brightest guys on earth. So we said, "Well, let's go see if we can find some anyway." So we flew into this village to negotiate a gold deal because we thought we could get a discount since it was now behind enemy lines. So we disarmed, we landed our helicopter and walked into the gold mine place where the little lady was selling gold. And my co-pilot and I are standing there unarmed, surrounded by Vietnamese. And we're trying to negotiate gold. And I think gold was about $50, and it floated from 35 to 50. We thought we could get a discount, and she laughed at us.
Yeah.
That was my realization that we didn't know anything about money, and we didn't know anything about gold.
Right.
But that's like what you say, you go down the rabbit holes and, how come I don't know anything about gold? Why don't we know about this stuff? And that's when, you go, suspicion comes up, if you know what I mean. And this woman knew more about gold, and she obviously didn't go to Harvard, and we were college graduates. And she says, "Spot." She kept saying the word spot. You threw the Vietnamese and all this stuff. And spot is the price of gold all over the world in US dollars. And she knew more about it than I did. So that's when the carrier sailed to Hong Kong. And I bought my first gold coin in South African Krugerrand. And I still have that Krugerrand. I think I paid $50 for it. And today's probably worth $2,000. And it's kind of a reminder. By the way, I did move that Krugerrand offshore. I don't keep it in America legally. That's how much I don't trust my government. But it kind of fits today because I don't know what's going on. I mean, how can social media run our world today?
Yeah.
Who's running the world? So it makes that little Krugerrand more valuable. Because as you and I know, it's the world is kind of like Big Brother. Silicon Valley is Big Brother now. They can affect media. They can affect what people are saying. You have Black Lives Matter, and I got accused of being a racist. I'm going, what the heck is going on in this country?
Yeah, right.
So that's what makes gold a little bit more valuable today. So that's kind of my story.
And did you see what happened with Klaus the other day on Twitter?
No, what happened?
The guy that runs the World Economic Forum, the guy who's been talking about my Great Reset videos and what the guy talked about at the expo. Right. He wasn't on Twitter. He had some account, but they're all fake accounts. but he came onto Twitter just last week, was like his first day on Twitter. And I've been having my assistant trying to get me a blue check mark by my Twitter account, because there's so many scam artists out there that are trying to use my name and scam people out of money. And every time she gets a reply from Twitter saying that they're currently not doing that, they're not going to be taking any more applications until sometime like mid 2021 for these blue check marks, right? And so I noticed that Klaus went on Twitter, let's say last Wednesday, and he instantly got a blue check mark. You see, so it just goes to show you, to your point, that social media, that all the animals are equal, but some animals are created more equal than the other animals. And, so I don't want to go down that conspiracy path, but it is obvious that there's some people in this world where those social media rules they just don't apply to them.
Correct. And, I'm not Republican or Democrat, though Trump is my friend. I respect a person's right to choose their political affiliations. But when somebody says, should Trump run again? I said, why would he run again when the election is controlled out of Silicon Valley?
Yeah.
You don't have a prayer.
Yeah.
And so, George, this is the last thing I'll say about political, is that the divide in America is so big today. I've never seen it this wide. People don't trust each other. Neighbors are not speaking to neighbors, and families are not speaking to families. So this is why our country is so wide apart. God.
Yeah, I don't want to go off on a tangent here, but you're a real student of human behavior, and I'd love to get your opinion on this quickly. I was reading an article the other day, and the hypothesis of the article is that in the United States and in Western civilization, we've moved further and further and further away from religion. And I'm not here to say whether that's good or bad. It's a completely different discussion. But people do need meaning in their lives. So this person, his argument was, the reason we have such divisiveness in the United States and our political system is because people are filling the void of religion with politics. And politics is now the new religion. And that's why people are so fanatical and people are so diehard. And we're seeing all the things that we're seeing today. And they extrapolated that to not only politics, but these people that are like a cult following with Tesla, or maybe like even, I'm bullish on Bitcoin, but there's a cult following of Bitcoin where they treat it like a religion. And there's some other thing, and maybe you could argue that maybe for some gold bugs, treat it like a religion. But that was the whole argument, that we've replaced religion with all of these other things that may be potentially detrimental. But I think it explains a lot. What do you think about that?
It's funny you say that, because last night I had dinner with my friend, one of my best friend's sons, and these two young men went to Air Force Academy, and they're now working. One guy's living in Washington State. He said he made the mistake of buying a house in the middle of Antifa country.
Oh, geez. Yeah.
I said, is that an Indian tribe? but the point is, George, is people are like tribaling. They're going to smaller tribes. You have the white supremacists, you have Antifa, you have Black Lives Matter. So I think you're correct. There's something, people are searching for some kind of
meaning.
Yeah, meaning in life, what they believe in.